FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. Today's May 15th, 2017. It's Monday. All sorts of hell breaking loose all over the world, but what else is new? But if you're in the mood for some entertainment that has a message, well, next guest, James Jaeger, is with us, filmmaker extraordinaire, now on your 8th movie entitled Mainstream. Welcome back, James.
Hey, Kerry, great to be back. Thanks for having me.
So Mainstream, your movies have pretty much universally been ignored by the mainstream media, but this movie is a little different, isn't it?
Well, you know, they say the first thing when trying to figure out an enigma is to break up the anatomy of the problem. So we thought we'd take a look at the mainstream media, take a look at its history, try to figure out what it's how it's built, why its motives would be constantly supporting certain things on television like fossil fuels and endless pharmaceutical commercials and internal combustion cars and you know, some of the various things, always anti-gun, always a lot of aspects of anti-constitution. So we're just taking a look at the media and the history of it, trying to figure out how it works and why it would be promoting the globalist agenda.
Yeah, and so what conclusions have you reached here? Why are they doing it? Is it because of corporate ownership of the media? Is it because just liberals all go to journalism school and then come out and become proponents of the statist globalist solution? What's your conclusion there?
Well, Kerry, as you know, I try to be nonpartisan. My bent is libertarian, and I've come to the conclusion that the mainstream media is both corporate and liberal. And the way it operates is very strange and different from most industries in that the corporate owners of the media do not always control the content of the media. And the history, in order to understand that, one has to really take a look at the history. The movie industry was built by immigrants that really put together a great industry. It was called the studio system. Everybody was employed. There was a lot of diversity. And so we go through the beginning of the movie industry put together by the mom and pop movie moguls and trace it on through the point where the Justice Department chopped off the movie theaters. Remember the Paramount Consent Decree in 1938? So we maintain, because of government intervention chopping off their movie theaters, they really kind of pretty much destroyed the movie industry, and it kind of turned into the predatory corporate conglomerate, 6 conglomerates controlling everything, and it's kind of like what we have today. So we have another example of the unintended consequences of government intervention with the movie industry and why, so this is why it's so globalized and so corporate and so cold. And, it's just this big machine that all it wants to do is make money.
Yeah. And so it's corporate ownership. So it's the evolution, more and more concentration in the economy, whether it's oil companies, airlines, you name it, anything you point at. The government wants concentration because that makes these industries much easier to regulate, doesn't it?
Yeah, the government's supposed to have the FCC, which is licensing these networks for the public good to put out a wide variety of shows. But really, you get right down to it, 6 conglomerates own the media right now. Those 6 conglomerates own the 6 networks, and each conglomerate owns one of the 6 major movie studios. So really, the cornucopia of production and shows and diversity we see out there in the marketplace is really an illusion.
It's an illusion. And so who's the worst offender here?
Well, I can't really pick out the worst offenders, but I will say that the 6 conglomerates are Comcast, Viacom, Disney, Time Warner, Sony, and 21st Century Fox. I have stock in each one of these companies so that I can read their 10Ks and financial reports. And I was just reading the Time Warner financial report today, and they look like they're making a good effort to put diversity of executives and directors in there. So I kind of am applauding Time Warner right now They also have a lot of they're laying out their policies for selecting directors, and they seem to be very concerned. So that's good that they're doing that. And, of course, they had an African-American running the company for the past 10 years or so. And that's kind of the first time that's happened because, there's only been 4 women running any of these companies in the last 100 years. And so that's kind of weird. But I don't know, Kerry. 6 companies controlling everything you see, hear, and read is a little scary to me.
Right. 6, what's the optimal number? We should have hundreds?
Well, the movie is based upon the works, 6 works. 6 books. One of the books was written by Ben Dickian, and he wrote a book about 20 years ago when the media had 50 companies, and he was worried that these 50 media companies, were consolidating too fast because it used to be 200 media companies, 200 or 500, then it's down to 50. So we based one of his books inspired this movie, how it consolidated from 250 or more media companies down to 50, and now we're down to 6.
Right.
So I don't know if I answered your question, but
we're down to from hundreds of companies, we're down to 6. And look, everybody likes it this way, don't they? The government likes it this way. The companies make more money than ever. Everybody's happy.
Well, they operate on this concept of known as economies of scale, and really the reason we're looking at this from the globalist agenda point of view is because it'll just look like these corporations have infiltrated Washington with their lobby groups as we go through in corporate fascism, and they're basically just trot hopping all over the world. The media basically is exploiting everybody and indoctrinating everybody with its viewpoint, and I don't know. I think that when you have corporations basically selecting all the screenplays and who's going to be acting in them and what viewpoints are going to be displayed on network television, I think you really truncate the free flow of information. And so you don't get, all the solutions you could to humanity's problems. Now, of course, there's a lot of crackpots and nuts all over the internet posing any and all crazy solutions. But I for one, listen to them all, because you never know where a touch of genius is going to come from.
You really don't. And that's the beauty of the alternative media, right?
Yeah, the problem is I used to think that everything was great because we had the internet and anybody can be on the internet. But the problem is you're like a needle in a haystack on the internet, and if no one knows you're there and someone doesn't point to your website or your book or your movie, then you just don't. You're just there. You're just non-existent. So really, this idea that we have this internet, this media that's making it possible for everybody to have a voice. Yeah, it's like a lot of clamor, and none of the important stuff is differentiated from any of the more frivolous stuff.
Yeah, now they seem to be really threatened by it, and this whole fake news meme has started.
Yeah, I mentioned the word fake news once or twice in the movie, but it's kind of just one of these terms that that comes along, here today, gone tomorrow. I try not to mention the word Democrat or Republican in my movies. I try not to mention the word Trump or Clinton or Bush, because really what we're looking at in these movies is what could be considered maybe timeless values. We're looking at the history of the Constitution, the literature that informed the Constitution, from Descartes on to the philosophers, and why this government that we've set up 230 years ago is supposedly better than other governments, how it's gone off the track, how we might be able to get it back onto the track.
Well, it's definitely gone off the track, and I think your examination of what's happening with the media, why it's happened, and who's behind it, I think it's more insidious than you really might think. That there's forces really behind this consolidation in the media that want to control what you're thinking, want to control your actions, and want to control the entire debate.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of suspicious to me that, with 7 films, virtually all on the Constitution and various aspects of it, and some, real opinion leaders, I think everyone agreed Dr. Paul has been out all over the place And Dr. Edwin Vieira is one of the foremost constitutional attorneys, has argued before the Supreme Court a number of times. You got G. Edward Griffin, who's very held in high esteem in the financial circles with his works on the Federal Reserve. You've got, people that are in these movies that really, there's no reason why the media hadn't at least invited them on to talk about what they're talking about. So it's just a little suspicious to me, Kerry. It makes me feel like the mainstream media doesn't support the Constitution when these movies are all talking about the Constitution, and they're not talking about the Constitution from a partisan point of view. Believe me, we hit the Democrats and the Republicans equally in both of these movies, as anyone could easily tell by watching Spoiler how a third political party could win. So I don't know. I guess, we thought maybe we better take a look at the mainstream media and try to figure out what's going on with it. Yeah.
Hey, well, that's a great thing. So, James, we got to run, but tell us where we find out more about the movie.
Well, we're having the world premiere for part 1 of Mainstream on the 17th. That's this Wednesday. That's 2 days from now. And your listeners can screen it if they like for free by going to mainstreammedia.us/premiere. And it's at that URL, they can screen the movie this Wednesday starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. We will be running it and making it available there for free for the public for a limited period of time. It'll go through till Saturday. So screen it and take a look at the trailers and the excerpts. And if you feel that the movie has merit and would like to see parts 2, 3, and 4, we've turned this into a mini-series, then help us out with some donations and let us know how you feel about it.
All right. Hey, well, that's excellent. And hey, question on this show or any others, send us an email at al@kerrylutz.com, and our Twitter feed's at Kerry Lutz. Our Facebook page is Financial Survival Network. James, it's been great speaking with you, and good luck on the movie. We will try to get to see it, and you be well.
Thanks for having me, Kerry. Good to talk to you.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.